Good day, my fellow Pokemon people. My name is Maikya. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be doing the top 5 Grookey final evolutions. So, if you guys are hyped for this video, be sure to smash that like button down below and comment and let me know if you guys would put any other different evolution kind of designs in there and let me know what they are. So, anyway, guys, I'm not going to waste any more of your time at the start of this video. So, let's just get straight into the countdown. So in our 5th position, we have this first design. So this design is by Lexalan, and it is a very nice little design. I like how it kind of transitions from Grookey to the next one to the next one. So let's just talk about it a little bit. So this person went and took the actual trailer and thought, hey, you know, the stick that Grookey's using to tap on the rock actually isn't a drumstick or actually isn't something else. Instead, it's a baseball bat or a rounders bat, should we say, because obviously in Britain we play rounders, we don't play baseball. So they've obviously taken this a bit further and they've evolved Grookey into this kind of like almost skirt kind of, I don't know, just looks kind of like a sports player, you know, like a female sports player, more like a female than a male. So I think they've made it more feminine than the other Pokemon would be. So that's what we kind of got here with the second evolution, and it's kind of got like a small baseball bat. Really cool little design, happy face. The eyes have kind of changed a little bit, so he's got kind of more of a little like eye surround instead of like all the way around like goggles. So that's quite cool. And then obviously the legs are extended, so to make it more monkey-like and less like a little chimp or a little, you know, tiny monkey. And then that's obviously evolved into this on the right here. So this design's really nice. I really like how they've kind of extended that mouth into more of like a actual like snout, more like monkey-like. And then obviously you've got the hair tied back into like a sports position and kind of like this cape or skirt sort of thing, and these bands around. Really nice design. I like how they've added a bit more of a black colour instead of where the orange was. They've added black and then made the fingers orange. I think that's a really smart idea, and obviously made the tail a bit longer. And it just looks a lot more sporty and athletic than the previous evolution, and Grookey obviously. It's a nice transition. I think it compares really well first and third. I just think it's a nice design, and you know, I think it's nice that they've made it more feminine-like, because that kind of matches the you know, the feeling Grookey gives me for sure. And obviously you can see up there the bat is a lot bigger. Looks like he's going to win some rounders. Anyway, guys, that's all I have to say about this design. Let's move on to the next one. So in this next design, they've kind of gone for a more like crazy, cool psychic monkey approach. I really like this design. I think it's super great. It's really cool looking. Now, obviously, they've taken Grookey and evolved him a bit further into this kind of like wild monkey kind of thing, with this, you know, the stick becoming like a staff almost, a staff of the forest, and he's kind of like lifting some leaves up there with his psychic powers, and looks like a bit of a psycho, to be honest. They've added like a nice, you know, fluffy tail, and expanded his feet to be more like toes, more like an actual chimp would be. And they've given him this cool little necklace around the top, and his eyes have actually stayed the same, very similar. He just looks a lot less cute than he was, but hey, it's still cool. And then the third evolution, the final evolution, should I say, for this looks really cool. He's like sort of like a sage, like a wise man of the forest, a wise monkey of the forest. He's, you know, got his little radishes he's holding up in the air, and he's got his like magical staff. This would be really cool if he was like grass psychic. Really nice idea. He's got like those psychic eyes staring into your soul. But he's kind of like got all these trees and mushrooms and moss growing on him. It looks really cool. It's like he's almost like, you know, like a guardian of the forest. Really nice idea. And then his tail's turned into like this beautiful like flower bouquet. Instead of being like an actual tail, it's turned into this cool like trunk with like flowers blooming out the end of it. I really like this design. I really like how they've turned it more into like a actual like wise monkey type of character, because we see that a lot in books and films. You see the monkey in the animal films and animal books tend to become the wiser characters along with the owls. So it's kind of like, it kind of matches, it kind of makes sense, very similar to. Reminds me a bit of Rafiki from Lion King, very similar sort of aesthetic. I really like it though, I think it's great. Yeah, I just love the kind of little aesthetic it's going on here, so the psychic stuff, really nice. So that's why I chose it for number 4. Let's move on to the next one. Now, the next one's an alleged leak, but I don't believe it is. I believe it's fake. It's very similar to some false starters that someone made for Generation 7, but nonetheless, I'm going to cover it in this list anyway. So, as you can see here, it's become like less of like a drummer and more like a swordsman, like a little fighter almost. I can see that. I can totally see that if it was grass fighting or something. And it's become like this. Like the second evolution is quite interesting because he's kind of got his eyes covered, but it's hard to know if that leaf is his eyes or if it's not, or if it's just like a little shield, like a little helmet. So he looks like a little warrior, and he's obviously got like this bark of wood strapped to his chest. Really nice idea. And I just like how they've kind of transitioned the Grookey into more of like this bigger thing. Looks very similar to how Chespin evolves into Quilladin. Really nice. It's kind of like a weird middle transition, but it works quite well because the final Evo makes sense. And you can see that the stick's turned not into a drumstick, not into a baseball bat. It's turned into a sword. So obviously this like then transitions into the final evolution, which looks really cool. He's sort of like this monkey with these little like almost, I don't know, clown trousers sort of thing. He's like an acrobat trousers from the circus, and his stick's turned into like a rapier, like a sword, like a, you know, like that sort of thing, like a really long sword. So he's almost like a sword fighter, and he's got like this little peaked hat, almost like, you know, one of those little old-fashioned fighters from the medieval things. You know, it's hard to explain, but he looks like one of these kind of, you know, like the Romans had all their games and stuff with all the fights and all the sword fights with the animals. It looks kind of like that. Really cool design. I love how they've kind of made his like fur into like a bush almost. He's got like this little leaf thing that you can like kind of flick and stuff. Sort of like a ninja, but not really. And obviously, like I said, the sword, really cool idea. I love how they've kind of incorporated some colours that we wouldn't really expect to see there. It makes sense in a way, and how his like head has turned into like a helmet, but then he's got like this mean expression on his face. I really like this design, and that's why I chose it for number 3. Now let's get into the next one. Now this design hasn't got a second Evo, but I can tell you now, and I'm sure you all agree, this design is insane. Now the reason why I like this so much is it just makes sense. It looks really, really cool. So instead of turning into a sports player, instead of turning into anything like that, this person decided to make Grookey evolve into this guy called Kongaroo, and he's got these big barrels on his hand, and he looks like a warrior or like a, do you know what I mean? Like he looks like some kind of warrior, that sort of thing, some kind of king. And I just love how they've used the leaves to kind of re-emphasize that. So he's got like this leaf, like the hair. He's got a really mean expression on his face, but he's like evil, but also cheerful looking. I really, really like the look of this. I mean, if this was a thing, I'd be choosing Grookey, and I don't even want to choose Grookey. Now, the little stick has now turned into like this big staff thing, this big kind of walking stick almost that he carries on his back. Really, really like that. And then all these orange bits have turned into like these. Obviously, he's got his feet and his hands, and then he's got like these little bands across him of red and green. Really nice. I love how the barrels have like these bits of grass growing out of the top of them, and his hands are obviously covered by these barrels, so if he's punching someone down, he's got obviously a bit of power behind him. I just love the aesthetic for this. Really, really nice aesthetic. And I like how they've obviously made the face more, like I said, more thuggish looking, so he looks a lot less friendly and a lot less kind of cutesy and more kind of down to business. Could totally see this guy being a fight. Could totally see this guy being a grass fighting type. I don't see why not. And yeah, that's all I have to say about this one. So let's move to position number 1. Now in position number 1 we have this design here. Now this design looks really, really nice. So we've got obviously Grookey on the top left here, and then we've got this like second, like this middle transition sort of thing. He's kind of holding what looks to be like the sticks turned into like a whistle or like a flute of some sort. Then he's got sticks in his hair to hold his hair together. And I really like the transition. He's got more of like a bigger head and more of like a monkey-esque face, but then he's also got a bigger body and a bit more hedge around him and a bit more, you know, a stick tail and that sort of thing. Looks really, really cool. I think this works quite well. I think this is kind of like a nice middle transition into this, obviously, the final evolution on the right here. This final evolution, I think, is my favourite for sure. Now, the reason why this is because it actually looks really nice in style. They've been so accurate with it. Like, it just like kind of goes well. Like, it kind of transitions well. So he's gone less bright and cheerful into more serious. He's got more of like a monkey-esque face with his, you know, 2 fangs there. They've kept the ears very similar. They've kept the stick in the hair very similar, but they've made him have more hair. He's obviously grown all this fur on his face and fur on his tail and fur on his body. He's obviously grown fur on his face and fur on his body, so he looks a bit more monkey-esque still. He's really, you know, furry and really, really, you know, serious looking. And they've added like this wrist strap to him that kind of makes his hands and feet look more monkey-like even still. And they've just stretched them out a lot more, so they're less like gloves and more like actual hands. Same thing with his tail, they've kind of made that into more of a monkey tail with a little tip on the end that you'd expect. Instead of being all one colour, it's got kind of like a bit of colour differentiation. And his eyes just look great, they're like very, very serious. And they've kind of added this brown bit that's kind of evolved from, you know, having Grookey have this like, you know, really bright yellowy green colour to kind of go into like a pale green colour with a bit of brown in there. It looks really, really cool. And they've added like this belt, so he looks like some sort of like warrior, some kind of, you know, do you know what I mean? Like some kind of warrior, sort of like Kung Fu Panda style warrior, but, you know, that sort of thing. And they've obviously turned his stick into a staff, so it looks really cool. It's like a Kung Fu monkey. I could totally see this being a thing. I could totally see the possibilities and the opportunities by using that stick in Grookey's hair to kind of use it in different ways. So it could be a baseball player, it could be, you know, a hockey player, it could be a rounders player, it could, you know, do something else, be a drummer, it could be obviously a Kung Fu monkey. I love the possibilities here. These guys are so freaking clever with their designs. So go check them out. I'll put the links in the description down below if I remember. Sorry guys if I don't, but if I remember I will go and put them in the description down below. That's all I have time for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to leave a like. Comment, let me know what you guys would do for your top 10. Comment and let me know what you guys would do for your top 5 Grookey Evolutions. And be sure to subscribe for more videos like this. Anyway guys, I will see you again for another video.